And there are things that took place in the life of the Prophet Muhammad that would lead a reasonable person to assume that what he was speaking is the truth. So this is the first thing. Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, is believable. He's believable because why? He's proven himself to be truthful. He's proven himself to be trustworthy. He's proven his sincerity. He's proven his honesty. And that is proven in his life. And you can see many, many examples of that. What is very important here to understand, and this is important for Muslims, as well as people who are not yet Muslim, is that you can't judge the Prophet Muhammad or Islam or any religion based upon, oh, I just don't like that. I don't like that law. I don't like that rule. I don't like that punishment. It doesn't sound very nice to me. Yeah? Well, you know, I have a really bad toothache and the dentist needs to give me an injection. The last time, by the way, I went to the dentist, this is a personal thing, you know, the dentist tried to inject me, I nearly bit her finger off. Okay, because I'm so terrified of injections, right? But the point being here is that the fact that I don't like it doesn't mean it's not a necessity to have my tooth pulled out, right? It's illogical. There's no rational basis to say, oh, I don't like your religion because it has some laws that just sound a bit bloody to me, or, you know, or maybe they're too soft. Other people may complain, oh, your laws are too soft. You don't just kill everybody for everything. That's what we do. We just, you know, someone steals, kill him. Someone looks at me in a bad way, kill him. You know, in some societies that may be exactly what happens, right? So if you think about it, that's not the right way to judge. No, let's look at the man. Let's look at the man himself. The man who brought the message. Was he truthful? Was he sincere? Was he trustworthy? How did he behave throughout his life? And with Muhammad we can do that. We can look at his life. I just want to give a couple of incidents because obviously we don't have time to go through the whole of the life of the Prophet. But there's just two incidents I want to mention. Number one, this is very early on in the mission of the Prophet Muhammad. Of course, his mission was to call people to believe in the one Creator who is unlike anything in this universe, that people should not worship the creation, but they should worship the Creator, and that they should follow the guidance that God had given, the Creator had given, through the prophets, and of course through him being the final messenger. So this is his message. Okay. So this is his message. So the people, they are really resisting this. Of course, because the Prophet is saying a whole lot of things that they don't like. He's saying a whole load of things that they don't like. Like, for example, you shouldn't bury your baby daughters alive in the sand, which was one of their customs they used to follow. I mean, not everyone used to do it, but that was one of their customs. This is what Islam was saying. Don't kill your children because you're afraid, how am I going to feed them? And the first ones they killed were girls because they were considered weak and not very valuable. So the Prophet was saying you shouldn't do that. And the Prophet was also saying that the rich and the strong should not take advantage of and oppress the poor and the weak. Well, the rich and the strong didn't really like that very much. And of course they were in control of the propaganda machinery of the time. It was conflicting with their self-interest. Just rather like the world it is today with the press, as we will perhaps see over the course of this conference. So the Prophet Muhammad was also saying that why are you worshipping idols of stone and wood? Why do you pray to them? Why do you put your faith in them? They didn't like that because they thought that, well, we have these 360 idols in Mecca around the Kaaba, and if we get rid of all these gods, who's going to come to Mecca? And how are we going to make money? Yeah. So they didn't like what he was saying. Doesn't mean that it wasn't true though, does it? So anyway, however, what they did realize is that this message of Islam, or this message that the Prophet Muhammad was bringing, was being accepted by quite a lot of people. And by the way, problematically, most of the early Muslims were women and slaves and poor people. The very people that they were exploiting and oppressing. So they decided to make the Prophet Muhammad an offer. This is the offer they made him. They said, if you want to be our king. Now he was of course from a very, very noble and important family. So they said, if you want to be our king, we'll make you our king. If you want money, we will make you the richest man amongst us. If it's women that you desire, you just tell us which women you want and they will be yours. And if, you are sick and this spirit that's coming to you and telling you things, we will spend any amount of money until we get a cure for you. Just stop preaching this religion. Now think about it. If you're a con man, if you're a liar, if you're a trickster, yeah, well, you're going to say, whoa, which offer shall I take now? King, money, women, yeah, that sounds good. Right? Yeah, I think I'll go for the king. Yeah. I mean, do you understand? Everything is offered. Okay? But what does he say? He says in one report, some of the books of Sirah, it very eloquently says that the Prophet replied, if you give me the sun in one hand and you give me the moon in the other hand, I will still not leave off preaching this message. Now, think about it. Is that the words of a liar? Is that the words of a con man? Is that the words even of a deluded person? Because that's what some people say, well, yeah, he thought he was a prophet of God. He really believed it. Of course he wasn't a liar. He wasn't really purposefully but he just thought that this angel Gabriel was coming to him and so on and so forth. So he imagined it. But, it's very hard to explain. If the Prophet Muhammad was, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, deluded, how do we explain the information in the Quran? How do we explain the detailed legal injunctions in the Quran? How do we explain, how does a man living in the desert 1,400 years ago, how does he come with a book that describes the lives and the histories of the prophets that came before? How does it describe the laws through which people should live? How, from where even many Christians and Jews, they've realized this problem. And they said, well, even some of the Christians, they said, what the extent they went to? They said Muhammad was actually a Christian bishop. A heretic Christian bishop who escaped to Arabia. They had to, because they said it's the only way you can explain all of this knowledge and information. But and there's even more amazing stuff in the Quran. For example, let me just turn to Surah Al-Anbiya, which is the 21st surah. And let's turn to ayah 30. Okay, so Surah Al-Anbiya 21:30. And let's just read this quite remarkable few verses of the Quran. And let's ask this question. From where does this information come? This book is 1,400 years old. Let's remember that. 1,400 years old. Okay? And I'm just going to read the English translation of it. Okay? Have not those who disbelieved known that the heavens and earth were joined together as one united piece, then we parted them. And we made from water every living thing. Will they not then believe? Now, what is remarkable is the Quran is talking about the heavens and the earth being one united piece. Then we parted them. Right? I mean, today we all know. It's, secondary school science, the Big Bang, the common origin of the universe. But how does someone know that 1,400 years ago? Where did someone even get the idea about this 1,400 years ago? Where does this information come? It's amazing, and and there's many things. I just want to turn to the next chapter, amazingly, and that's called Surah Al-Mu'minun, the Surah of the Believers. And if we look at verse 14, this is amazing. It says, the Quran. Now, the problem is we really miss a lot out in the English translation, but here it goes. All right? It says, we created man out of an extract of clay. This is talking about Adam. And then it says, and the word here is thumma. Thumma doesn't necessarily mean and then next. It means and moreover, and on top of that, or in addition to that. We made him as a nutfa, meaning the man. We made man as a nutfa. A nutfa in Arabic means a small drop. In another verse of the Quran, in Surah Al-Insan, in the second ayah, it mentions nutfa amshaj, which means mixed nutfa, of the male and the female. Nutfa means a small drop. So the human being is created from, it means here it's talking about the sperm. The nutfa is referring to here the sperm. And from the male and the female nutfa. So although it doesn't say the egg, but that's what we know it to be now. A small drop of fluid from the man and from the woman, it says. And then it goes on to say, then we made this nutfa into an alaq. The word alaq in Arabic has three meanings. It means a clot of blood, it means a thing that clings, and it means a leech-like object. By the way, each of these terms is accurate when it comes to the first stage of human embryonic development. And this, by the way, is microscopic. You can't see this with the naked eye. Yet the Quran 1,400 years ago is describing this stage of human embryonic development as an alaq, which means a leech-like object. And then it says, and then we made out of that a lump of flesh, mudgha, means like a chewed piece of meat. And that's exactly what the next stage of embryonic development looks like. And then we made out of that bones, and then we clothed the bones with flesh. This is amazing, because that's exactly what, from this chewed piece of meat, the bones grow, and then and the word the Quran uses is fa, which also means then, but here it means quickly. Fa in Arabic means then, and it happened quickly after. Not like thumma. Thumma could mean after some time or moreover, but fa means and then quickly. And that's exactly what happens. And again, by the way, this is all happening at a level that cannot be seen with the naked eye. And then we brought forth the human being, and it took this form of the human being. So the Quran is describing 1,400 years ago information that we have only discovered in the last 80, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Where does information like that come from? Well, isn't that the sort of ID? Isn't that the ID you would expect in a book that is from God? Isn't that the sort of person, truthful and honest and trustworthy, whose word is believed, who shows in his life his truthfulness, his trustworthy and his honesty? And there is many remarkable things about the Quran. Another remarkable thing is the language of the Quran. The Arabs at the time of the Prophet Muhammad were masters of their language. Masters of their language. In fact, they had a marketplace for poetry. They had a marketplace for poems. Yet the Quran challenged these people. If you believe that this book is from anyone other than God, than the Creator, just make one chapter like it. One chapter. You know how big the smallest chapter of the Quran is? 3 lines. 3 lines. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar fasalli li rabbika wanhar. Inna shaniyaka huwal abtar. That's the smallest chapter of the Quran. Yet these masters, these people who could stand up and recite poems from the top of their head for hours, they could not produce, and they admitted it, they were totally unable to bring anything like the Quran. Because the Quran was not like anything the Arabs had, it wasn't poetry. They know what's poetry, and it wasn't poetry. It wasn't normal speech. It wasn't rhymed prose. It wasn't anything that they had experienced before. Yet, they were Arabic words. The language, they understood it. They understood the words, yet they could not make anything like it. They knew when they heard this, that this could not be the product of a human being. And there's another thing, a really truly extraordinary thing. And I know a lot of Muslims, you don't think much of this. But it is truly remarkable that this book, the Quran, you can go anywhere in the world. You can go anywhere in the world. Here in Norway, you can go to Timbuktu, you can go to South Africa, you can go to Malaysia, you can go to China, you can go to Siberia, you can go to the US of A, you can go to Chile, and you can find a Quran from all of those different places. In fact, you know what? You can go back 100, 200, 500, 600, you can go back 1,000, 300, 400 years. In fact, we can find manuscripts dated from very, very soon after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. And you can compare them with the Quran that we have today. And you know what? You will not find a difference between them in a single letter. There is only one Quran. Yes, the style of writing, the font, if you like, has changed. There have been the vowel marks to help people who are not Arab pronounce the Quran correctly. But the words, the actual words, the same. A book that has not changed for 1,400 years. And another amazing thing. There are kids as young as 4 years old, and many of the age of 7, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Muslims living today and throughout the whole of our history who have memorized this entire book. From cover to cover, have memorized it and can recite it from memory. How is that possible? How is that possible? These are the signs. These are the indicators. These are the things that could lead a reasonable, rational, thinking person to look at the Prophet Muhammad, to look at his life, to look at the Quran, and to conclude and to understand that this must really be what it claims to be, the true religion of God. Having said that, what does the religion of Islam teach? It teaches you what? To speak the truth and not lie. To keep your promises and don't break them. When someone trusts you with something, you keep the trust. Be good to your neighbors. Obey your parents and treat them respectfully. Look after the poor and the weak and the needy. Enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. Live chaste, moral, decent lives. That you should pray to God 5 times a day at regular times. You should discipline yourself spiritually. Train your mind to be aware of God. Train your consciousness through prayer, through charity to cure you of stinginess, and through fasting, not eating and drinking in the month of Ramadan from dawn until sunset. Because if you can control your appetites, you can control your eating, your drinking, it proves you can control yourself. You have self-control. You learn patience. And that once in your lifetime, if you can afford it, you should make pilgrimage to Mecca, where you will stand with people of every race, of every color, of every creed. And it doesn't matter whether you're a king, you're a millionaire, whether you're famous or not, whether people think you're beautiful or not. None of that matters, because you're just wearing two pieces of cloth. Because God does not look to your outward appearance. God does not look to what car you are driving. God does not look to what house you live in. God does not look to whether you have designer clothes or not. God is looking in your heart to see whether you are sincere, whether you are a person who loves Him and worships Him, whether you are a truthful and honest person or not. That is what is important to God. And that is what you know at Hajj. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white, Arab or non-Arab. It makes no difference to God. What is important to God is your piety. Do you fear Him? Do you love Him? Do you obey Him? Have you surrendered yourself and followed the guidance that He has sent down with His final messenger Muhammad? May God's peace and blessings be upon him. These are the ways and the means through which a person who thinks, the person who ponders, the person who reflects can know that Islam truly is the religion that has been revealed by God for the guidance of all of humanity. My brothers and sisters, may Allah guide you, may Allah guide me, all of us, upon the path of truth. May Allah bless all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.